Welcome everyone. Amazing. Hey everybody. Welcome to day 3 of the Creative Business Summit. Fantastic, fantastic. Amazing. Everyone is joining in, audio's joining and videos turning on, all those good things. Encouraging you to have video on if you can. Always great to be able to see and interact with you as well. I am super excited because today is going to be a really, really interesting topic all around pricing and how to increase prices, how to charge what you're worth, all those good things. But to start off with, I would love people to share in the chat. What have you done in the last 23 hours to look after yourself? So those of you that were here yesterday, we talked about self-care and the importance of that when it comes to mindset in your own business. And we set a bit of homework for some self-care. So what have you done in the last 23 hours since we finished yesterday's mindset training? I'd love to hear. If you can pop that in the chat. What did you do to look after yourself? It could be that you went for a walk. It could be that you did some yoga, whatever it is. I'd love you to add some things to the chat. What did you get up to? Amazing. A few things popping into the chat there as well. I love that. So yeah, booking massage, nice. That's a really good one to do. Journaling and guided meditation. Oh, very, very nice. I went for a big long walk last night, which was fantastic. It was so nice to be able to just get out and count steps. I'm sure there's a few people here that count steps as well. I love how like our phone apps these days have counters and you can actually be like, wow, I can track these things. And it's always interesting being like, oh, I haven't really done many steps today. I need to get out and have a walk. So that's another good thing as well. And really the message there was really around how looking after you is looking after your business and how these things are very much intertwined and connected. And it's something that people overlook. People often think about, I just need to work more and harder and faster. I need to get more done, to grow this business. But actually, they also have to look after themselves because you are the business. So we've seen people who are like completely burned out, they're completely exhausted, and actually they're giving up, or they have given up for 6 months because they tried to do too much. They tried to move too fast. They tried to overwhelm themselves with all this work to do, but they didn't take the balance. So what it meant was maybe they got lots done for a few months, but then everything fell apart. They were exhausted and they were even questioning why they were trying to grow their own business. So it's certainly something that we can see happening. And this is why things like self-care are so important. Awesome. So we do have day 3 now. So day 3 of the Creative Business Summit. Just to recap a few other things I talked about yesterday. We talked about starting to act like your successful self now, right? So we talked about faking it till you make it and how that's really, really important. We also talked about how failure is actually okay and it's going to be part of the journey. And so failure is actually a very normal thing. And actually, you do need to grow through failure and grow through discomfort as well. And then, of course, the self-care stuff we talked about quite a bit as well. I think most of you that were here previous days, but in case you weren't, and for some people watching the recordings, a really quick background is that I had my own creative business for 11 years. And these days we work with visual creatives to help them grow their businesses. And just some kind of interesting numbers, about 85% of our clients are based in the US, about 5% in Canada, and then we have about 10% are based elsewhere, primarily Europe, occasionally other places as well. Although I am from New Zealand, it's very rare we have New Zealand clients. We're actually a US-based business, so that might be why, even though I do have a bit of a funny accent. So there we go. I'm originally from New Zealand, if you hadn't caught that. Okay, so what we're going to do a bit of a fun activity as part of today. And this is where someone's going to get $100. Right now, this is going to be a bit of fun, but raise your hand or put in the chat who wants $100. Who would love $100 US? Right, I think everyone. Yeah, there we go. I think everyone would be pretty happy with $100 right now. So we are going to be giving $100 to someone, $100 US to someone on the call live today, and all you have to do is be the most interactive and engaged person on the call, which means in the chat. So points are higher for people with video on. That will increase your chances. But my team, Celeste's here from the team as well. Celeste's going to be keeping an eye on things in terms of who is the most engaged. So everyone's like, oh, yeah, get in the chat right now. So, big place to engage is the chat. Have some fun with it. Don't overthink it. But, would really love you to be adding things to the chat, adding what you're agreeing with or disagreeing with, or what's hard, or just acknowledging things as well. And yeah, I could see you all on the videos. Lisa can see you all as well, and we want you to be as engaged as possible. Don't worry, we're not like going to be watching you the whole time to check how engaged you are. But if you fall asleep in the corner, you probably won't be the one to get that $100. So there you go. And no worries at all there, Jessica. I love that. So, it's a bit of fun, but really, it's about, encouraging engagement as well, because we want you to get as much as possible from this training. Right. So that's really why we do that. And we have a bit of fun along the way as well. Another reminder is thinking about the actions that can be taken off what you're learning today as well. Knowledge is great. Theory's great, ideas are great, but what can you do with this information is really, really important as well. So anytime you find something that you're like, oh, I could take an action here, I could do something about this in the coming weeks or months, circle it, right? That's an action that you can take. So I love it. And just a reminder, for the $100, we'll just do that at the end, and it'll just be through PayPal. So all we'll need is literally your PayPal. We won't be trying to courier you a $100 bill. Don't worry. We'll just make it nice and easy through PayPal. Awesome. Okay, so why does pricing matter? What to charge, how to charge, why does that matter? Well, the biggest thing here is that if you get the stuff wrong, then you're not going to have a business that is going to be profitable. And what does that mean? What it means is that you're going to work a lot and you're not going to make much money. What can actually happen is you're going to get stuck on a bit of a hamster wheel, right? You're just working lots, and you might be doing some really interesting work, and you might be working with some great people, but you just might be working really, really long hours, and it's going to get very exhausting. And you're going, at the end of the month, you're like, where's the money, right? Where is the money at the end of the month? Because you're feeling like you're working a ton, but you're not earning what you think you should be earning. So we had a client that I can think of that was earning about 3K per month when I first spoke to them, and they were working over 60 hours a week. So they were actually like, well, yes, I could, the clients I'm working with, they're okay. They're, not quite fully exactly the type of clients I want to work with, but also I just work so much, right? They were full-time on their business. So they just basically worked on the business all the time. They were up late. They were often up to 1 a.m. with deadlines. They were often very exhausted and very frustrated, and they were working a lot on weekends as well, right? And they were like, I mean, I'm doing this full time. I don't have a day job anymore, and I'm earning 3K, so it's not that I'm earning nothing per month, but that's not really enough to sustain myself, and I'm completely exhausted by doing it as well. I want to grow that revenue, and they were just like, yeah, I love this idea of earning 5K per month and then 10K per month, these high numbers. That sounds incredible, but I can't just double my input, right? I literally am working every single second I can. If I was to double my revenue from 3K to 6K, does that mean that I'm going to have to work 120 hours? Because that's not physically possible, right? Now, we did end up working with her, and these days she works under 40 hours per week, and she's earning 6 to 10K consistently per month, right? Now, the sort of stuff that we helped her with is the sort of stuff I'm going to be going through today. I'm going to be going through how did we do that? What were some of those key things, and how did we support her? Obviously, it was a lot more involved than what we're going to do today. We literally worked with her for a number of months to help her get these results. But I'm going to be running you through some of the things we did to help you all as well. So what I would love to do for anyone that is here live, I'd love you to just share in the chat, what's the hardest thing when it comes to pricing, right? Have a think about that. What is the hardest thing when it comes to pricing your services or pricing your products and services? What is the biggest struggle? What is the frustration or the problems that come when it comes to pricing? What comes up? I'll just give everyone a little bit of time there. What is the problems you're experiencing with trying to increase prices or with what you're charging right now? Or what are your worries in increasing your prices? What do you worry about when you think about these things? There's a few things popping in the chat. I love that. So that's a good one, Molly. So feeling like my ideal clients might not be able to afford it. Yeah, that's a really good, that's something that totally makes sense to be worried about. Estimating the number of hours I would spend on a project and pricing accordingly. So that's something you're thinking about, Jessica. Lindsay sharing, it feels a bit arbitrary, hard to prove the clients the value they're gaining from the money, from the price point. Imposter syndrome, I can't charge that much because my work isn't good enough yet. And I tend to underestimate. Yeah, totally. So some good things being mentioned in here, and these are all things that people struggle with, right? These are pretty common things. Everyone shared there, I'm sure you can relate to other people, other things other people have shared as well. Yeah, work not being good enough, range of industry being very wide, lots of different things can come up. So we're gonna be digging into a bunch of these things during the training. So the first thing I really want to talk about is something called money mindset. I'm sure some of you have heard of it, but fostering a money mindset is actually incredibly important. So, what's kind of interesting when it comes to money mindset is that most people in the world have pretty weird ideas about how money works, right? They have pretty odd ways of thinking about what money is and what money means. And when I say odd ways, I'm saying I think they think about them wrong. I think they think about money wrong. They think about it as something that they're taking from someone. Right? So if you charge someone something, you're taking $1,000 from them and in your use delivering a service. Actually, you're not taking someone from someone anything. Actually, it's an exchange. So it's an exchange of value. And that is a very, very important thing to recognize and notice that most people, although they might hear that, don't really understand what that means. Money is just a placeholder for value. Before money, how did you trade value? Well, you traded it through other goods and services, right? So we could think back to someone who was maybe a farmer 10,000 years ago, and maybe there wasn't a currency, wasn't a standard currency of money. Maybe they would trade their produce for someone else's produce. The person or the family that grow carrots were exchanging some carrots for some potatoes, right? And they had to work out, well, the person with pumpkins, well, how many pumpkins do you give for how many carrots? Oh, maybe it's 10 carrots for one pumpkin, depending on the size, right? So kind of is an interesting way of trading, and some people still do things like this today. But actually, what we have now is we have another means of exchange, which is money. So rather than saying, well, okay, I'll give you 10 carrots for your one pumpkin, I might say, well, I don't want a pumpkin. I don't need a pumpkin. I don't like pumpkin. And you go, that's all I've got to trade. So instead, you're placing something of value instead. And that allows you, rather than getting a pumpkin, allows you to get money. And then with that money, you can go buy something else. Or you can save it for another day when you do want to buy a pumpkin. Right, so this is a very simplistic way of talking about it. But the key message here is that money is really just an exchange of value. You get something, they get something, right? You are not taking things from people. That is a really, really important thing here. You are exchanging value. Now, yes, there are situations where people take advantage of other people. That's a different thing. We're talking about fair exchanges with people that agree and have fair terms and are not taking advantage of each other, right? Exactly, Christine. I'd rather have the money than the pumpkin, right? Absolutely. So this is the idea here, is you've got something else that has value that allows you to do the things that you want, rather than trying to find the person that has the thing that you need. Because you might be like, well, I've got carrots to trade, and but I need a haircut. Well, I have to go find someone who is a hairdresser who wants carrots. Oh, what a nightmare. Instead, what you can do is you can change the carrot for money, and then you can go spend that money on the hairdresser that you want to spend it on. They don't need carrots. They just need money, right? So it's an interesting, pretty simple idea, but most people don't really fully understand that. Now, something else around money mindset is really understanding that confidence is often linked to money mindset. We see that people that have worked on and developed their confidence often charge more, right? They have the confidence to charge more for what they're doing. Building up confidence, therefore, is something that you can do to increase your rates, to increase your pricing, right? Work on your confidence. How can you work on your confidence? Well, a few simple things. You can celebrate the good stuff happening to you, and you can also do the things you say you're going to do. Right? That helps build up your confidence as well. Lots of other things that you can do, but those are a couple of really simple things that can help you boost your short-term confidence. But I just want you to notice that things like money mindset and how you view money and your self-worth is often going to be connected to your confidence. Now, what I see is that most people tend to be worth more than they think they are. Right? So you're probably here, everyone here, you're probably worth more than you can believe. Your time, your energy, your expertise is probably worth more than you believe. However, the catch is you need to find the right people that will value that. And that's the right clients. So we sometimes talk to people when we start working with them who are like, you know, I can't imagine increasing my prices. Like I'm charging only a few $100s for this thing here. And like, yeah, I'd love to charge more. But like even the people I'm selling to right now are like, oh my God, that's $200. Oh, okay. I mean, I guess maybe. Or they're like, $200 you're charging that. That's so expensive. I'm not going to pay that. And of course you feel really down. You're like, wow, yeah, maybe I'm not worth that. Maybe I'm not that good. The problem actually is the people you're talking to, the types of clients. That is one of the common problems. Yes, it's a bit more complex than that. It's about helping them understand the value as well. So that's part of it. But often a big thing is more about the types of clients, the types of people that you're talking to. Now, what we often see is that when people are earlier stage in their business, they're doing a little bit of work on the side, maybe they've got a day job, the work that they tend to get tends to be through their own network, through friends and family and people they know, right? Like that's kind of just a pretty natural thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But what it tends to mean is that that group of people, you're kind of just reliant on how they value things. And they may have a lot of value in what you do, they may not. Also, if it is a friend or family member, they might love you, but they might not be like, I don't think it's worth that much because they know you. There's a weird association that can really happen there. Also, there's expectations that they'll do it for free, that you'll do it for free, or that you'll give them the mates rates, you'll give them a discount, right? So there's often these expectations that can come with that as well. So part of this here is, yes, great, can be early source of customers, can be connections, referrals, network, people you've worked with, people within your own community. Sure, but often you need to get out of that to grow your business and to expand what you're doing. And that often is about the marketing side, right? And getting to the people that are willing to value what you do and are willing to pay those high prices. So this is something that we see again and again. There needs to be some questions around who their clients are, the target markets, right? So that's the wording that we use. Who are the target markets? Who are the types of clients? Who are the ideal clients? And sometimes people have like clients they would love to work with, but those people aren't really going to value what they do. So we've got to find that sweet spot of the people that you would love to work with that are also happy to value you in the way that you want to be valued, the way you want to get paid. Right. So there needs to be some crossovers between these things. Something else I do want to mention around money mindset is this something is basically this word abundance mindset. I didn't actually talk about that yesterday as part of the mindset session, but abundance mindset, I'm sure many of you have heard of it. Some of you might not have. It's something related to confidence that you probably also need to work on. And basically what this is, it's really about understanding that there is people out there who are willing to pay you more. You've just got to find them. Now, what's kind of interesting about this is that as soon as you decide, oh, no, there's not, Logan, like there's not going to be people out there that are willing to pay that. Like, I don't know who would be paying $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. Like, I don't think they exist in the world. As soon as you decide that, I'm like, yeah, you're probably right based on that mindset. Because you're not going to seek out something you don't think exists. Right? So that abundance mindset is really about a decision that you make, and it's something that you choose to do. As you either say, hey, it's not out there, it doesn't exist. Why would I bother putting time and energy into that? We're all busy. I'm not going to bother. So therefore, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Of course, you're not going to be finding people that are willing to pay you more because you're not doing the work to find them. And all of the evidence points to, hey, see, look, no one comes to me. All the people they want me to charge lower. They're all saying I'm charging too much. So therefore, abundance mindset is really important. And it says, hey, they are out there. I know they are. I've just got to figure them out. I've got to find them. I've got to do the work. I've got to help identify. I've got to identify who those target markets are. And then I've got to connect with them. One of the biggest challenges we see for people with creative businesses is that not enough of the right people know they exist. Right? I'm going to say that again. Not enough of the right people know they exist. Notice I said right people. Yes, it's about often, yes, not enough people know you exist. but it's also about the right people knowing you exist as well. So this is a really, really important piece of this equation as well. And that belief, right? It sounds a little woo-woo, belief, abundance mindset. No, this stuff matters because it's what you do with that belief. If the belief is it doesn't exist, what are your actions going to be? No action. If you say, well, they're out there, I need to do something, I need to find them, the actions are going to be find them, send messages, work on this stuff, develop this stuff, contact people, set up meetings. Right, so this is very much part of it as well. But remembering what this core piece I'm talking about right now is about money mindset. And these are all things to do with money mindset and how you view what money is and what money's worth and all of these things here as well. As soon as you decide there's not opportunities, there's not the right people, you're going to probably stop taking action because what's the point? So we've really got to notice that as well. So a couple of things being shared in the chat here as well. So searching for what you want to be true really helps. Absolutely. Yep. I heard that before. Higher prices equals client more confident that they're going to get good value. Yeah, we're going to talk about that more, Molly. That's so true. Absolutely. Charging more is actually a really good thing because you're going to end up working with the clients that value you more. Does it, so Jessica's sharing, does this all stem back to figuring out who your ideal client is and finding them? Yes, absolutely. This stuff's all connected. Finding who your ideal client is and finding them. Sometimes we actually work with people who are, earlier stage in their business and they're trying to figure out some of this stuff too. They're like, hey, actually, I'm not 100% sure. And they will spend some time with us figuring that stuff out. Who is their ideal client, right? That's sometimes part of it. Who is their ideal client? What are the potential offerings? Right. And we also work with people who've been in business for years who are like, I need to reevaluate this stuff. That's pretty common as well. Molly sharing that really resonates. I think my offers and prices are good. I just struggle to how to find the right people. Yeah. Right. So that's it as well. It's like, yeah, you might have nailed the pricing and the offerings, what you're doing, but it's the people part that you're getting wrong or, struggling with. What we're going to talk about next is something that I talked about on day one. And quite a few of you here were here for day one when I was talking about offering. Some of you weren't. So I'm going to go over this again. It's connected to what I talked about around the $300 plus offer, right? So what we see is that sometimes there's people who are earning small amounts in their business. They're doing a lot of work, a lot of time. And when we look at how they're earning it from stuff that's under $300. And it's very volume based. Right? There'll be people here that is relevant for, there'll be people here that is not relevant for. But this is something that we really notice is that if you focus on things that are a higher price point, $300 plus, you're going to get to those higher numbers quicker. Right? And this was actually something that, yes, was a bit relevant for that client. It wasn't the client who increased their revenue and decreased their time. It was partly this. They were trying to do some things as well as they're having those other higher ticket items. But what we've really noticed is that a core focus needs to be on those higher price point things, right? So I talked about the numbers game and how if you want to earn $5,000 a month, if you're selling $5 items, you need to sell 1,000 of them every single month and next month again, right? Whereas if you've got $1,000 offerings, you only need to sell 5 of them per month to earn 5,000, or 10 of them per month to earn 10,000. And the maths continues, right? We've even had clients who are, earning from one client, one project could even be $5,000, $10,000. We've even had clients sell things for $20,000. So as you can imagine, their monthly income can often really connect with that. So they are actually able to earn these higher amounts. What's also often interesting, if you can do this right, as you charge more, you can also make things more profitable. Right? So we've seen that. You've got to be very careful with the numbers. Things charging more, you can also be less profitable. So we've seen it where people are like, oh my God, I'm selling things for $2,000, but I never seem to have any money at the end of the month. And we look at it and the amount of cost involved to deliver that thing might be really high. So maybe that'd be better selling for something for $1,000 with less cost attached. That's something that we've got to watch with that as well. But generally what we see within the types of clients we work with, as they increase their pricing, things become more profitable. So what I'm saying is that it's better to work with one client charging $5,000 than 5 clients charging $1,000. There's efficiency in there of one person to communicate with. there's efficiencies in there in terms of how you work and how you do that workflow and the distractions of having 5 people at the same time. Obviously, it works at every single level, right? You're better having $1,000 client than 10 $100 clients, right? So efficiencies start to come into that as well. So that's where increasing the pricing overall also brings those efficiencies in. Now, just remember, I did say $300 plus. I'm really saying $300 minimum. More is better. More is better, right? So even $300 can be pretty tight. And we've also got to watch those costs that are involved. So we've seen some people sort of say, oh, well, I could, $300, I could do something. I could be doing pet portraits and maybe at the higher end selling them for that. Well, yes, maybe, but you've still got to think about the time involved in the materials. And sometimes that's quite hard to get profitable at that price point, at that lower price point, because there's still going to be time messaging with the client and then the actual creative work as well. And then there might be materials, paints, canvas, other different materials involved as well. So just a really good reminder around that too. What we're going to do is just a quick brainstorm around $300 plus offers. So yes, we did a bit of an activity around this day one. I want you to go back to those notes if you still have them. And I want you to see if you can add some more things to that. And I would love you to choose one thing to add to the chat. One thing that is $300 plus that you are doing or planning to do, want to do. And I'll just give everyone a little bit of time to see if they can find their notes from day one and see if any other ideas have popped up in the last few days of things that you could do. Even those of you that are like, I don't need to figure that stuff out, like, still a good exercise. What could you do? Yes, you might be like, I'm already doing lots of $300 plus stuff. What else could you do? And then if everyone can just add one note to the chat once we've done that as well. So I'll give everyone another 30 seconds on that. I know not lots of time, we've got lots to cover today. Add a few things to your notes if you can, and then pop one thing in the chat that you are doing or would like to be doing that's $300 plus. I think part of this as well is it's about earning sustainably, right? So this word here, sustainably, comes into it too, because like you might be like, hey, I'm earning $1,000 a month in my business, and I have a day job, and this thing's just on the side, and that's all I want it to be, and a little bit of extra pocket money. I'm like, right, that's fine. But if your dream is to leave the day job, or your dream is to grow your current business, to get it to that $10,000 and beyond per month, then you're going to want to be doing it sustainably. What we see sometimes is people also get this in their businesses, the up and down, and the revenue goes up and down. And that's a really dangerous way to live if you're reliant on this business. So therefore, it's about building long-term sustainable income. We've worked with the odd person who is earning $10,000 per month already, but they're not doing it in a sustainable way. A lot of time, it's a lot of cost, right? So sometimes, yes, their revenue might be $10,000 per month, but there's a lot of costs involved. They're very overwhelmed. They're not working with their ideal clients, and it's not sustainable. So it's really risky, right? It's dependent on someone else. Maybe it's dependent on someone else bringing them work, like an agent, or dependent on someone passing the work along, or dependent on one client, or dependent on a platform like Etsy, right? So it's like, yes, as long as these things continue to work, you'll probably be okay. But what happens if you lose the agent? What happens if the algorithm on Instagram, on Etsy changes? You could actually overnight lose a lot, right? Your revenue could be really cut back overnight. So therefore, you're running a risky business. So it's about building a long-term sustainable business that you get to control that revenue, get to charge those high rates, you get to work with those dream clients as well. So some different things being added into the chat here. So branding and ad, there, Lindsay, maybe social. Said this before, it's been stalling, but I still want to paint the wake surfboards, absolutely. Jessica, merch or product design for small businesses, Christine, Luli, logo design, I love that. And then currently my last offer is $675 for a half-day website design session, and I'll be thinking about raising that price as well. It's $500. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as well, but basically like increasing prices over time is a really important thing. And it's something that we often see where people just don't, they just never increase their prices. They leave them pretty stagnant. So love that you're doing that already, Molly. Yeah, consider it something to consider as increasing that further. The thing I'm going to talk about next is basically more about creating value and how to add more value to what you offer. Because one way of increasing your price or charging what you want to charge is going to be making sure that there is value, right? And value for the people you're selling to, right? Kind of seems obvious, but this is easy stuff to overlook. So there's things that you can do to really increase the value. One thing that I want to make sure that you do is that you do not compete on price, you compete on value. This is a really, really important message. Do not try and compete out there based on price. Compete based on being the best, on having amazing value. There is always going to be someone out there who is charging a lot less than what you do for what you do. Right? There's probably going to be someone out there who's charging 50% of what you do. But they might not be very good. They might not be very professional. They might not be very reliable. So therefore, we've got to make sure that we're adding value. And remember, it's not just about what you do, right? The outcome of what you do. Say you design a logo. It's also about how you do it. And that's a place that you can add value as well. People often don't think about this part. They think about, oh, the value is in the work, is in the design. And well, that's part of the value. But it goes deeper than that. It's about how you deliver it. Now, one of the best ways to figure out value is to ask people. I know this is obvious. Most people don't do it. Ask the client. Get to understand their needs. Understand what they value. Understand what they care about. Ask them questions. As you go through that process, when someone connects with you and asks for your pricing, well, first ask them some questions. Get to understand, what do they value? What do they care about? Can you talk to them? Can you ask them what they need? Because they may think they know what they need, but you're the professional. You'll probably be able to assess it much better because they may have never worked with someone like you before. So this is going to be part of it as well. A really good way to add value and give a client value is to understand what they value, right? It's actually kind of obvious, but most people overlook this piece. Another thing that can add value, as I said, how you do it, great communication, right? Great communication is something that people value. If you reply to them late, like someone inquires with you and says, hey, I'm interested in working with you, that is, and then you reply to them like a week later, the value has already dropped. You haven't even told them what you're going to charge them, but it's already dropped because they're going to be saying, this person took a bit of time to respond. I wonder what they'll be like to work with. Right? So that's something that professional communication is very important. Now, I'm not saying you need to be on your phone all moments, checking your email every 10 seconds, but you want to be replying in a timely manner. You also want to be replying in a professional manner. Not an email that's been typed out full of mistakes or using unprofessional language, acting a bit casual around it all, or not doing what you say you're going to do. This is a classic one. It's amazing how often this happens. We were changing accountants in our business recently, and the person wanted to work with, they came recommended. We had a call with them. They seemed pretty good at what they did, and they said, "Oh, yep, great. We'll send through a proposal tomorrow." Amazing, sounds good. They didn't send through the proposal the next day, or the day after that. And then the next week I sent a follow-up saying, hey, we had a great meeting, checking the proposal. And about 2 days later, they sent me a proposal. Ooh, I'm an accountant. Goodness, I'm going to be asking them questions. I might need some quicker answers than that. Right? So therefore, my trust had actually lowered. Right? Now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what then happened, because this will probably blow your mind, but it's an important message. I went, okay, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They seem really good. They did come recommended. You know, pricing looks fine. Right. So I emailed them back and said, yep, great, good to go. Let me know what you need. They did. They responded straight away. It was good. And they said, great, fantastic. One of my team will be in touch with the contract to get this all finalized and, sort out the payment. You can all guess what happened next. We are not working with this person. They never sent the contract. They never sent the payment. I actually followed up with them a few weeks later. We were pursuing other options and it was fine, but followed up with them a few weeks later saying, hey, what happened there? No, actually, I didn't do that. I posted in a group that they were in. It was a big Slack group, a community group, saying, hey, does anyone recommend an accountant? They were in that group. They direct messaged me straight away saying, Logan, what happened? And I said, you never, ever contacted us and said us the contract. I wanted to send you money. Right. And they were like, oh my God, I'm sorry, we've been really busy, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's cool. You're obviously too busy to work. Right. So that example there is something that plays out every single day all over the world. As you can see me there as a potential client, my trust dropped, my value dropped, all of those things. So it wasn't about what they delivered. It was about how they were going to deliver it, how they communicated. Right. So building trust is such an important thing because you're going to be taking people's hard-earned money and yes, giving them value for that, but can they trust you? Well, if you're mucking them around and you're saying you're going to send them a proposal or you're saying you're going to do this tomorrow and you don't, well, they're going to lose trust, right? So being good at these things is also what will allow you to charge more. And part of that's good systems to do this stuff. I'm not saying you just need to be on your email all the time and spend the entire day and work all hours of day and night. Yes, it's about having systems around these things and good communication. This stuff here is done wrong all the time. Even people who think they're pretty good at this stuff, they tend to drop the ball. And yes, life can get in the way and things can happen. But overall, we need to do this stuff well. Reasonable turnaround time, honesty, building a relationship, keeping in touch with them. Right? This is so important. A really fun thing that you can do, that some people do, is after you work with a client, give them a gift. What a fun thing to respect a relationship. Give them something. And in my previous company, when we had entertainers, performers on site for events, we would often at the end of the event, when we left, we'd leave some chocolate, right, with a little note for the organizer. Because the organizer, the person who booked, they would normally be the last person at the venue, late at night, exhausted, and then they would see, oh, there's some chocolate, and they were checking out, making sure the changing rooms are all tidy. They were like, oh, those people were super lovely, and they gave me some chocolate, right? Something really simple that cost us almost nothing, but it really showed an appreciation. It showed professionalism. It showed an extra piece of value as well. And I'll tell you what, I swear that was one of the reasons why we had an 80% rebooking rate at that business, right? So 80% of our clients each year were people we'd worked with before. Sometimes it was different events, but that was really high. And one of the reasons was because of little things like that, caring about that relationship. It wasn't just about the performers and the entertainment. It was about how we handled things. Cool. I love that. We're going to keep moving through because I've got some really good things to cover. But what I'd love to briefly do again is get people to add their Instagram to the chat. URL, just in case you're not all connected. I know not everyone here has been here every day. I know we did do this on day one, but pop it in the chat. If you're not connected with us as well, please do. Actually, Celeste, do you mind dropping our link in the chat? It would be good. So make sure you're following us as well. I can see other people are here too, and Celeste and myself from the team will make sure that we're already following you. I think we're already having a few conversations with some of you already, which is lovely too, or we have in the past. Amazing. Okay, team. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to be diving into another subject around pricing. And this is around the no's. Right? People saying no. There should be some people saying no to you based on price. So 20% of your proposals or 20% of people that you've sent your pricing to should say, hell no, I do not want to work with you. You are really expensive. Right? 20%. It's a rule of thumb. Could be a bit more, could be a bit less. If no one ever says that to you, as in you send proposals and no one ever says, oh, yeah, I would love to work with you, it's just out of my price, it means that you are undercharging. Easiest way to know. Now, yes, there's other more complexities that can come into that. You might be like, Logan, 80% of people are saying no. Okay, well, we need to figure out what's going on. There could be different things there in play, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you should lower your prices. May mean you've got the wrong target markets, or you're communicating value in the wrong way, or there's something wrong with your proposals, or there's something wrong with your process. But as a general rule, 20% of people should say no based on price. Do you notice what I said there? I said based on price. There's other reasons people will say no to working with you. You're not always going to know, unfortunately, and you're probably going to think it's price. When you're like, oh, they never replied, they ghosted me, and they said no longer interested. You're going to assume you charge too high, but there's other factors at play as well that you just don't know about. They got really sick. They are no longer working at that organization. They had a bad day and missed your email. They have 4,982 emails in their inbox and they don't keep track of them and they missed your message. Or they worked with someone else who actually is charging more or less, or we're a different fit, better fit, or maybe you're a bit slow on communication. And they're like, oh, this person over here got back to me, within 24 hours, within 48 hours, I'm going to work with them because I need good turnaround on this stuff. Or the terms weren't right. So there's a lot of other factors in place here. And yeah, Molly's sharing something interesting in the chat. I've had clients say, I can't afford it right now, but it seems valuable, so I'll follow up later when my finances are better. So yeah, that is hard, but it is an encouraging thing to get something like that. The key thing there is making sure you're following them up. However, we've got to remember one thing, Molly, is that sometimes people are just after a deal. You might say, no problem at all good, love to work with you. They may still come back and go, oh, actually, you know what, we will work with you. We've seen that happen, right? Because some people just want a discount, want a deal. Or it could be about how you're communicating the value, because what they're actually saying is, I don't want to afford it right now, or I'm not valuing this enough right now to spend on that. Because they will have the money, they've just got other priorities for that money. Now, those priorities could literally be paying, yes, their own rent for food, like, of course. But usually it's more about what is a priority here. Because if they really need it and they can really value it, they'll probably pay for it and they'll figure it out. So it's just something to think about as well. So yeah, going back to what I was talking about there around most creatives pricing too low, 20% should say, hell no, absolutely. Remembering there might be other factors as well. Wrong target market's quite a big one. Or maybe the way you're displaying your offerings are not the best ways to sell your amazing creative skills. Sometimes and often you're just not that great at sales because that's not the stuff you care about or passionate about, right? It makes sense. You're creative people, like sales. Oh, first of all, the word, it just sounds cringy. It sounds like, a used car salesperson on the corner trying to sell you something. Sorry to any used car sales people. But that's kind of what the word sounds like. Like sometimes people do door-to-door selling, they're banging your door. You don't see it as much these days, but you still get it. Or you think about like the spam emails you get, things like that. Oh, sales, I hate being sold to. Everyone hates being sold to. Everyone hates being sold to. But often there is an opportunity to brush up on some skills. You do not have to be an expert in sales, but you probably can be a bit better than you are at the moment. One of the things we sometimes talk about in our programs is basically the idea of getting no's is actually okay because you're going to learn a lot. And sometimes we'll say to people, we're like, how many no's, like how many declines have you had recently? Like how many people have you sent a quote to and they've said no? And they'll say, oh, none actually. How many yeses? Yeah, no yeses. Okay, no no's, no yeses. Well, that means that it's a marketing problem, right? Like it means you should be getting no's, you should be getting yeses as well. But if you're not getting anything, it means that people don't know you exist. If you're getting no's, even if you're like, Logan, I got 10 no's. Okay, well, that's good. You're getting conversations happening, you're pitching, you're out there, you're getting yourself out there and you're learning along the way, even if it's learning what doesn't work. You do enough no's, you're going to start getting yeses. Okay, we're going to talk about the final piece here of this pricing summit workshop. And that's something related to, I think it was you, Molly, that mentioned right at the start, which is around being the premium end of the market, right? So it's really something that I heavily encourage, is being at the premium end of the market. Now, what does that mean? Basically means that you want to be the most expensive in town, right? You want to be the most expensive in town and proud of that, and also focus on being the best. Focus on really good quality of what you do. Okay, so this is a really interesting thing, and Molly already shared this, but basically you'll often end up also working with clients that are going to value you more and respect you more, and they'll be kinder and nicer to you, and they'll muck you around there. There's a really interesting correlation, and lots of memes online about this stuff as well, around if you charge a small amount, you're going to get mucked around, they're going to want lots of edits, they're going to pay you late, you're going to follow them up. And then the people that you're like, yeah, that's $5,000, they're like, great, here, I just pay the invoice. You're like, oh, okay. And they're like, yeah, I love your work, amazing, great, thank you so much. Look forward to working with you again. And then there's the person that you charge $300 for, and they're just like, oh no, I'm not sure. And then they don't reply, and then they go on holiday for a week, and then this happens, and then they're like, oh, I need to do a payment plan. Can I pay you later? Right? And sometimes part of it is just that it's not, they haven't put much of their skin in the game. What I mean by that is that, like, someone who just paid a few $100s, like, they might be willing to walk away from that. They're just like, whatever, I just paid a few $100. This person, they'll, I didn't pay them much anyway. So they're going to muck you around. They're going to go on holiday and they're not going to reply, and they're going to delay and be like, oh yeah, I should do that. But it was only a few $100. Even if they don't deliver, it doesn't matter too much. Right? But I muck them around. Now, I'm not saying everyone thinks like that. Often it's just the realities of life that get in people's ways, how they prioritize things. But this is just something really, really interesting that we see. So focusing on being really good and focusing on quality and value is really, really important. And there's this saying, I'm sure you've all heard it, which is like, you can be fast, cheap, high quality, right? Those are three things. So you can be really fast at what you do, really fast to deliver, really low price and cheap, high quality, but you can't be all of those things. Now, sometimes people say, oh, you get to pick two. So it could be really fast, really cheap, but like really low quality. Or it could be really expensive, but it's going to be fast and high quality. Now, arguably, sometimes you can only pick one of those things. Right now, I will say, do not focus on being cheap. That is not one of the things that you want to do. You want to focus on high quality as number one. And I don't know if fast is quite the right word, but maybe, doing things that are professional in time. And if they do want it fast, well, charge them for it. Right? So charge them extra. Last minute fees, great thing you can do. So this is just a really important piece of it. And being at the premium end of the market means you're going to get those better clients, but also it means you're actually just going to earn more. Your margins are going to be better. You're going to probably have to put less time in per project overall. And therefore, the efficiency and the numbers start to work for you. So everything I've taken you through here are things that we took that client through as well. Obviously, we went a lot deeper. We worked very closely with them to figure these things out. And yes, marketing was a big part of it as well. It wasn't just these things I've shared. Marketing is a big part of pricing too. If you want to increase your pricing, well, you're probably going to want to work with more of the right sort of people. And that means that those people need to know you exist. That is marketing. How do you get more no's and more yeses? Well, you need more people to be connecting with you, showing interest in the first place. Right, so these are some of these other key things here as well. Time flies. Once again, as always, we are going to do the $100 giveaway very, very soon as well. So Celeste is just having a bit of a think around that. So we'll definitely let you know. Actually, we do already know who it is. Celeste's already messaged you, but the message me, it's a secret. So I will be letting you all know soon. But in the meantime, I really want you to think about the next steps. Okay, like we've had this 3-day summit. It's been fantastic. It's been lovely sharing all this knowledge with you, helping you all. You've all been taking action, moving things forward. Like, this is all fantastic. But we've also covered a lot of information. I understand that. And you've taken some of those small actions. Look, the truth here is that taking more of these workshops it's a great thing that you can do to get you to the dreams that you want. But also, you're going to need up-to-date knowledge. You're going to need help with the mindset stuff. You're going to need to go deeper. You're going to need accountability. You're probably going to need some hand holding to take action. And you're probably going to need a supportive, positive community around you for the journey. All right. So if you have found the last few days really valuable, just know that we've only scraped the surface of this stuff. So I do encourage you to get in touch and see how we can help you with these things as well via our coaching programs. I know some of you already do have some calls booked in with Paul as well. So if that is something that's interesting for you, like mention that to Paul. Say, hey, I'd also love to share like what are the steps around exploring coaching? Because then he will explain what that process looks like in terms of getting a call set up with myself and talking details as well. If you have not booked a call with Paul, remember it is a free call. I know those of you that have heard me multiple times know already, but I'm going to pop his link in the chat again. It is a free call. This is to help you to consolidate the learnings from the last 3 days, even if you've only been to 1 day. Definitely recommend doing that. See if you can do it in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And as I said, if you are interested in learning more, you can even just contact us, send us a message on Instagram, or talk to Paul if you've got a call booked with Paul as well, and just mention that to him, and he'll be able to share with you what the process is for that. So yeah, definitely, if you haven't booked a call with Paul yet, I highly recommend it. My caveats, quick reminder, we want you to be able to get vulnerable and share where you're at openly with him. We want you to be committed, like turn up on time, have video on, don't change last minute. And also be in a place where you do want to really grow your business this year. Right? That could look like ready to leave the day job. It could look like growing your business from where it's at right now. It could look like doubling your income. It could look like getting to $10,000 per month plus, just like that client as well. Sometimes it is also actually about decreasing time. The amount of clients we speak to, they're like, Logan, I don't even want to work 40 hours a week. I'd love to work less. Great. That's going to be part of it as well. Right? It's not all about earning more money. It's also about fitting things in with your lifestyle, working with the clients that you love, and doing the work that you want to do as well. All right, so we are going to do the giveaway, the $100 giveaway. And look, it's always hard to judge this here, but we have chosen Lindsay. We've chosen you for this. You've been very interactive over the last 3 days as well. Yeah, it's always hard to choose, but we thought, look, you've been here every day and you've interacted a lot, so we'll do that. So just make sure you do direct message us your PayPal details separate to this, and we'll make sure that we send that through to you as well. In terms of other things, I'd love everyone here to share the takeaways from today in the chat. Right, so sharing in the chat the takeaways. What's something you found useful, interesting, helpful? What's been surprising? What's maybe been a bit frustrating to hear? That's sometimes an interesting one. Maybe there's an action. I'll just give everyone a little bit of time. What's been helpful? What have you learned? It's kind of interesting, like the pricing side of a business is so important. We notice that even people who've been in business for years get this stuff wrong. And they often don't actually realize they're getting it wrong as well. So this is just a trend that we've seen. And like we work with people that, yes, they're right at the start, they're getting their business started, they're getting things moving. We also work with people that have been doing this for a few years. We've occasionally worked with people who've been in business for 10 or 20 years. And we're like, great, we're going to have to, help you through the pricing side and really look at what you're doing. And sometimes they say, oh, no, I'm good with that stuff. I got that sorted. And we're like, let's just have a look anyway. Let's take a look. And pretty much every single time, once we've gone through that, they've gone, oh, wow, yeah, I see there were some gaps. Because for most people in business, there's an opportunity to be smarter around how they price. Now, as I said, it's not always about just increasing prices. It could be, but it could also be about getting more yeses to the current prices. It could be about the value that they're offering and the way they're upselling and the way that they're selling without it being lazy and pushy and salesy. Right? So there's usually opportunities around that. Money mindset. As I said, most people in the world have pretty odd ideas about money. Lots of good things being shared in the chat here. So Molly sharing, believe that clients will pay your prices, will pay your prices exist. You're not going to seek out something you don't think exists. Yeah, it's incredibly important. It's incredibly important. Hearing no and failing is a good thing, Christine. It's part of learning and growth. Absolutely. I've learned that if you have to take action, be assertive in finding your own audience clients. Absolutely. One of the things, Kyrene, we do have the old client that has like an agent, and like that's great. Agents can certainly be part of the journey. One of the things I get a bit concerned about when I hear that people have an agent is that they don't do any of the marketing stuff themselves. They leave it to someone else, and they've effectively given their keys to someone else. And if that person stops marketing, suddenly they don't have a business because they don't know how to market. So I think it's so, so important, even though the marketing stuff can be kind of hard. Yes, you might be like, I'm just going to pay someone else to do it. I'm going to hire someone else. Well, actually, you need to really know how this stuff works as well. And you need to have some control over that. You don't need to be an expert, but it is really, really important. So I love what Kyrene shared there. Finding your own audience and clients is such an important part of it. Main takeaway is the spark you've ignited. I love that, Jessica. Absolutely. Dealing with some crippling imposter syndrome. Yeah, this is huge. This stuff pops up for a lot of people, right? And we see that's not the thing that's in their way. It's not actually the creative stuff. I've seen your work as well. It's incredible. Right. And we see this again and again, is that it's not the creative work, it's this other stuff here, things like the price and the marketing that get in people's way. Lindsay sharing, finding the clients, do you have the right value in what you do? I think I need to focus more on graphic design and start creating logos again than trying to learn how illustration works. Lily, illustration is definitely an area of opportunity as well. Right? There's plenty of client-based opportunities, $300 placed opportunities in illustration. So definitely something you can do for sure. You might want to do a bit of both, but definitely don't think there's not opportunities in illustration. We have a lot of illustration clients as well as design clients. There's opportunities in all these areas, but definitely, something to consider around all these things. Amazing. Honestly, I've just loved how interactive everyone has been. It's been super lovely connecting with you all and how engaged everyone is. Obviously, this has been the 3-day summit, so thank you so much for coming along. It's just been awesome connecting with you. We will continue connecting through direct messages and things like that as well. But just wanted to thank you all for coming along, spending your time, leaning in, learning, taking action, being vulnerable as well. So powerful as well. And hope to connect with you, more of you down the track as well, and potentially even work with some of you to help you grow as well. Amazing. We're going to wrap things up there, everyone. Do take care, and we'll be catching up very, very soon. Awesome. Take care, everyone. Ciao.